Hello, Braden.
Hello.
It's really a pleasure to have you here in this conference, Subject Creativity. And you were talking today about being a pioneer. And the first question is, why sometimes we're afraid of being a pioneers, and what is the cost for that?
To answer as briefly as possible, I think society raises us to be part of a system. And a system automatically has borders. And if you want to fit the system, you're expected to stay in them. And because we all, I believe every human being is in principle good, or at least was born as a good person, we all want to do good. So what we're told is our natural reaction is what to do. But on the other hand, a very natural reaction of a human being is to go and explore, to go and discover. And pioneering, I think, is exactly that, is thinking, hey, but there must be other things, other opportunities. You know what? I'm going to try that. I'm just going to go there and see what happens. And some people really just do it that way. Other people think about it and then build a plan and a strategy, which is also a system, but it tends to work. And it's the feeling. Well, what is nice about pioneering is, like, as a child, the first time you go beyond the corner where, you know, the boundary has been set. Don't go beyond because then your parents can't see. But the first time you do it is this, oh, I'm exploring. And I think pioneering is exactly that, is exploring, is discovering new worlds, new ways, and taking people along in that, not just on your own, but as a group, and that way creating movements and change.
And some of our listeners are asking about circumstances and conditions for creativity. What are those?
It's a good question. I think the ideal condition for creativity is complete naivety. I tend to say artists are professional children. Creatives are professional children, because somehow they, as grown-ups, they do see what's happening around them, but they can take a step back and look at it and, like a child, give it something and it can play with it. It will invent a game. It will turn anything into a toy. So the conditions, I believe, are sort of a protected freedom in which you can develop, but on the other hand also have the desire to go and explore. Now, when I'm thinking about this, we've all known in different times that the system has completely taken over and you're not allowed to do anything anymore. You're not given any freedom or naivety, but still then people will more maybe as a protective measure start being very creative, because they know this is not big enough. They have to be able to go out and then find ways of doing it underground or somewhere else. So what is the ideal condition? I don't think there is one, except for the right state of mind in which you say, I think it's possible to do it differently.
And then we have the next question, and that's about challenges. So it's a personal one. And the question is, what is the most interesting challenges you have gone through in your creative career?
The most interesting one for me was what I first experienced as the biggest failure, quitting conservatoire. Simply not being able to fit the system, to not be able to do what I was told. And that felt horrible. In the end, though, it was a big change in my life, and it turned my life upside down, because suddenly I became a pioneer, a musician who gets accepted in this big business school, who welcomed me, said, well, you've got a different way of thinking, but we appreciate that, and fed me what they know. And I always thought back, sort of, how can I then apply this to the world I know? And the other way around, what can my world offer this interesting business world? And, well, everything that's happened since is actually, I think, thanks to that failure, if you can call that failure.
And the last question for our small talk will be, what do you think what Latvia should do to fully use its creative potential?
Allow me to think about that for a second. Because it depends on what you want as a country. Can you tell me that? What does Latvia want as a country?
No, I'm just a one individual, so you should probably ask
lots of people, and then we can. Yeah.
How can you ask the country?
How can we do it? Well, this way, for example. Well, how about that as step one? Know where you want to go. Creativity, I believe, is the elementary and important for every human being, and a country and the government has a policy and a direction in which they want to go. Seeing as it's a democracy, this is where the people want to go also, and seeing as we're living in a globalized context, I can imagine that Latvia wants to show what its strengths are and how it can and wants to improve. So reaching out. To reach out, you need to communicate. And this is my first time in Latvia, and when I came here, I've been reading up. But I must admit, there was very little I knew beforehand. And I think in the reaching out, it's also something I'm learning personally now again. If you want to make your project work, for me that's going to be a very big opera rave. For a country, it can be all those things they want, but is to say, look, I can't do this on my own. And to reach out and say, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I believe in. Do you want to join? Would you help? And it's amazing to see how many people then stand up or take a pen or email and write to say, it's fantastic what you're doing. So just tell us what you need to do, what you need happening, and we're happy to join in. Next step, of course, you need to know to ask you need to be able to tell them, this is what I'm looking for. Or you need to be able to tell them, this is my dream, and to be honest, I have no idea how this is going to happen. But will you still join? Yes. Well, think about it. And then do it.
Thank you very much.
With great pleasure.